Hello everyone and welcome to Let's Play Sins of the Solar Empire Rebellion Star Trek Armada 3 mod with me, TheDragoclaw. That was kind of awkward to say, to be honest. But yeah, this is the new Star Trek mod that's been released for Sins of the Solar Empire Rebellion. It came out, I think, Christmas Day this year, 2013, which is pretty good. I've played a little bit of it. It's pretty impressive, to be honest. You can see a lot of work's gone into it, and I thought it worthy of an LP. So, without further ado, let's get started. So, those of you who know my channel have probably seen my Sins of the Solar Empire Sacrifice of Angels 2 mod LP. So there's going to be a lot of comparisons with that mod, just because it's the only other Star Trek mod out there, and it's the only other one I've played, and I feel it's worthy of comparison, because I mean, it's gonna come down to which one do you like the most. There's very subtle differences between the two. Let's just set up the game here, and I'll talk more about the mods as we play. So, there are 4 races in this mod. So it's only logical that we have a 4-player map. For the Sins of the Solar Empire mods, like the Star Trek mods, generally I think the random maps are better, because I don't know, the pre-designed maps don't feel right sometimes. I mean, it's hard to know how many planets you're going to need due to balance purposes of the games. So yeah, I'm just going to go random. Yeah, random medium, and I shall be playing as the Federation. And we'll have one of each race with the Klingons. I'll pause on the screen for a bit so you can read all about the different kinds of ships if you want to. And here you can see the really nice interface and style they've gone with. They've pretty much changed the entire user interface to this more LCARS-y style, which is pretty good. It's very impressive. Of course, it's not completely done. You can see these Borg vessels don't have icons yet, but I'm sure that's something they'll add in the future. Romulan and Borg. Okay. I'll bump these 2 up to hard, keep him on normal. Let's see what icons they have. Yeah, let's go with that one. The com badge rather than the UFP logo. It's kind of a bit hard to see, to be honest, so might as well change it. Klingons, you can be red. Romulans, well, you've got to be a green. There's the Romulan logo. And the Borg, I saw it not too long ago. There it is. Okay, yeah, all different teams, game options. I'm playing on the Stellar Phenomena DLC. There may be an LP of the regular game with the Stellar Phenomenon DLC soon, but I'll just see how things go. Unlock teams. That's a good question. I think there's no harm leaving them unlocked. I don't think the AIs will ally with each other. Pirates, yeah, we'll keep the pirates on. That'll probably bite me in the rear. Victory options, yeah, they look good. Just go with normal conquest and begin. As as we wait for the game to load. I suppose now would be a good time to talk about the mod. I don't really know what to say, to be honest. I've played one half game, or probably less than that actually. So I've got a game running concurrent to this one. Hopefully I'll be able to play that game in a bit of advance to this one, and I'll get to know certain things as they crop up. Let's just pause the game here, and we can take a look at the mod. You can see the interface is pretty well done, to be honest. I'm really liking the blue and the very Alkazi feel. And I thought we could talk about ships and compare it to the Sacrifice of Angels 2 mod. So, in Armada 3, you start with Nova classes as your scouts, which might make sense, to be honest. So yeah, they're pretty flimsy, I guess is the word. Yeah, I'll set those on auto explore. And then we have our constructor vessels here. I have no idea what class this is. It's for 1234 class. But damn it. That's a password for my luggage. Yeah, so frigates, you can see here we have the Nova class. And then for the main combat frigate we have the Sabre class here instead of the Miranda class. However, the Miranda class is still in here. It's down here. And it's I believe it's sort of comparable to corvettes, because it's a really cheap, flimsy ship, as you can see, comparatively. And one thing you'll notice quite quickly is that the weapons and hull and shields and that are much closer to the actual Sins game, rather than being highly inflated values like in Sacrifice of Angels 2. I'm not sure exactly how much that affects combat. I think the biggest effect it has is that capital ships and frigates like help hit points and that are much closer to each other. For example, you can see here Sabre class is 1200 hull, whereas the Sovereign class is about 3300. So it's a lot closer in terms of health. But then again, the weapons do less damage, so who knows what the actual difference is. Okay, let's move on. Next we have the Steam Runner class, which is the long-range missile frigates. We have the Norway class, which is the bombing vessel, as opposed to in Sacrifice of Angels 2, where this was the Constellation class. And the Steam Runner class has replaced the Excelsior class in this location, and the Centaur class is the flak frigate for both. Then for cruisers, we have the Curry class as the carrier, which I think looks absolutely hideous, and it's a... well, let's just say I won't be building many of these, but that's mainly me being... I can't think of a word, but yeah, that's just me. I don't think they're terrible. They're probably fairly decent, but I haven't had a chance to use them. Then we have the Constellation class, which is the support cruiser that can heal and like give debuffs to the enemy. Then we have the Intrepid class here, which is comparable to the Celio Command Cruiser, I think, at least in terms of description. Yeah, so it's sort of like another support ship, which is kind of accurate, I guess. And we have the Excelsior class here, which is the it's the heavy cruiser. Oh, it's the heavy cruiser. Okay, I thought that was the Akira class. Okay, they're both heavy cruisers. Okay, well, as I said, I've not played all the way up to this stage. I haven't actually built either of these yet. But yeah, we've got the Excelsior, which in Sacrifice of Angels 2 was a frigate. Now it's a cruiser. Akira class, probably pretty good. Looks fairly good. It always is. And then we have a Defiant class, which is a cruiser in this game as opposed to a capital ship, as it was in Sacrifice of Angels 2. I might just start calling that mod the other mod, just so I don't have to say so many syllables. But yeah, it's to be honest, it's actually kind of similar to what the Defiant was in the other mod. It's fairly offensive, manoeuvrable, lightly armoured. It can also lay gravity mines. Or mines in gravity wells. Okay. Interesting. And we have the Antares class constructor, which builds star bases. Yeah. And then we have a Challenger class, which is a variant of the Nebula class. Which is the Envoy. Okay, and just now we take a look at the capital ships, the real meat and potatoes of the fleet. We have the Galaxy class, with various abilities, and it is pretty tanky. Especially when you compare it to the Nebulas and Ambassadors. We also have the Sovereign class, which is the main battleship of the fleet. Yeah, you can see it's got all its weapons, like quantum, photon, torpedoes, phasers, fairly comparable to the Galaxy class. Slightly, Galaxy's got better torpedoes. That's interesting. Anyway, then we have the Ambassador class, which is again the colony ship. The Phoenix, which is a variant of the Nebula class, and also the actual Nebula class. So the developers really like the Nebula class. Yeah, so you've got basically 3 Nebula classes in the game, 2 of which are combat vessels, the third one is a Envoy. Okay, so now that we've done that, we can actually get started on the game. So, let's build us some of those. And let's unpause the game. We don't need it to be paused. And let's go with the standard Jupiter type station, which is the civilian research structure. 2 of those so that we can get up to the colony places. Because that's pretty much what you want. Also, one major aspect about this mod as opposed to the Sacrifice of Angels 2 mod is, you can see here, they've got Titans implemented into the game. Now the Excalibur is the Titan for the Federation. It, if I recall correctly, is a very advanced starship, which is I don't know where it made its appearance. I think it's a fan designed one, I think. You should probably research that a bit more, but yeah, so in this game you can build Titans. I have no idea what the Titans for the other races are, although I presume it's the scimitar for the Romulans. I don't know what the Borg one would be.
Planetary system detected.
Maybe like a tactical cube? Who knows? Okay, and let's see. Okay, so like in Sacrifice of Angels 2, you have to research capital ships. You don't start with them all. So,
Station complete.
The obvious choice is to research first tier so you can get the Ambassador class. I may or may not do that.
Give the word.
Depending on how I'm feeling. But anyway, yeah, you really should start with a Stork class as well, which is the colony ship. Just because you have to research the Ambassador class and you aren't given one at the start. So you have to build something that can colonize, otherwise you can't colonize. And that's a bad thing. So you may notice this structure here called Fleet Command. Basically this gives you the ability to warp in ships like the Defiant, the Defiant, and Voyager, and the Enterprise. So this kind of works like the Sari phase gate, where you can summon the Dark Fleet. I don't know what the penalties are really. Because I mean, as far as I can tell, you can just warp in Enterprises, Voyages, and Defiance to your heart's content. So, I'm going to right click that so it can auto-cast it, because I'm not exactly sure how it's meant to be casted. But yeah, I've warped in the Enterprise, and you can see
This is Captain Picard of the USS Enterprise.
we have the Captain Picard of the USS Enterprise. We have a Sovereign class, which is pretty good for, like, not turn, sorry.
Status
I'm
report.
playing too much out of space.
Mr. LaForge, reroute all
A
auxiliary
couple
power to the engines.
minutes into the game, you can have a Sovereign class.
So,
Planetary system detected.
Lieutenant, open a hailing frequency.
Okay, now in this game you also, like in Sins, get your first capital ship for free. So, I don't know the exact cost of each of the capital ships. I don't know whether each of them are more expensive, because I've only bought one capital ship and I've forgot to look. But if there are various prices to pay, then it might be advantageous to wait until you can build a Galaxy class to get your next capital ship. Because I mean, you can start off by just getting the Enterprise, and then you start off with
Planetary
a
system detected.
Sovereign class ship, and that's a pretty powerful ship. Okay, let's move the Stork class over to here,
This is Captain Picard of the USS Enterprise.
and let's group jump those. Things you may also notice is the audio taken from various Star Trek games is very similar to that of Sacrifice of Angels 2, which is, you know, expected because there aren't very many places to take audio from. But I think they did quite a good job of it. It's different, it's refreshing. Sometimes the audio can be a bit annoying because it's really annoying when you like click on the Enterprise
USS Enterprise.
and when he says something like that. It just feels a bit too long. Yeah, that's just a minor gripe. Again, I'm going to be nitpicking, just because I kind of want this LP to help you colour your decision whether you want to choose to play Star Trek Armada 3 or Sacrifice of Angels 2, because they're very similar, and the choice is ultimately very much dependent on what you prefer.
Planetary system detected.
You can, on a completely different note, you can have a look at the model here of the Enterprise E. I think it was very well done. Very clear. I'm on the highest ship setting for graphics. I may turn that down when there are more of them, mostly for the happiness of my CPU.
Lieutenant, open a hailing frequency.
Okay, let's do some basic research. Let's get the trade post and ice planet. They call it Class P planets to fit the Star Trek universe. I shall call them ice planets, because that is what they are. Okay, now we're going to come on to combat. And, well, this is another place where they're quite different. The Sacrifice of Angels 2 mod did phasers and torpedoes differently. In my opinion, I really like the torpedoes from this mod, but I much prefer the phasers from Sacrifice of Angels 2. Because you can see, like, they seem like they just took the Cole battleship lasers from the tech The ones from Sacrifice Avengers 2 are much more like pulse phases, and you could see the strips, like, sort of, they had the animation, which was pretty awesome in my opinion. Yeah, but these seem too long duration, especially on the Sovereign class, which should have pulse phases if you're being accurate to lore. Although I can acknowledge that it might be more difficult to give the Sovereign pulse phases and every other ship regular phases. Again, I've never modded the game, so I have no idea the relative difficulties.
Prepare the colonists.
Okay, let's send out the Stork class, and we have the Romans on the left. I really hope the Klingons are on the right, because if they're not, that means the Borg are on the right. And it would be very reminiscent of my Sacrifice of Angels 2 LP, my very first one, where the Borg bloodied my nose. Because that was your first taste of combat. I do quite like the shields. Some of them are skin tight, like on the Raider you saw there. I think it would be awesome if they could put a skin tight one on the Sovereign to make it Nemesis-esque, but again, it's probably not worth it, and
Colonization was successful.
it's not like Nemesis where they can, when a thing comes in, only a small section of the shields flash up and everything. I don't believe Sins works that way, but I don't know. Again, I'm really being nitpicky here, but that's the sign of a good mod, because the things, if I could complain about, if these are the only things I can complain about, they're doing pretty well.
Planetary system detected.
Okay, let's put down a trade port there, and oh, can't put one there.
Planetary system detected.
Need some logistics. Let's put another trade port here. Okay, I think I'll end this episode here. Thanks for watching. Next time I will continue explaining about the game and continue playing it and whatnot. So, hope you've enjoyed. If you like this video, leave a like. It really helps me know which series you like or dislike. I'll try not to, demand likes at the end of every video, but, well, I'm not demanding, but asking for.
Station complete.
It kind of irks me when other LPs do it, but, it really is helpful
Planetary system detected.
in colouring your decisions as an LPer what you want to LP. So, if you feel inclined, leave a like, leave a comment. Otherwise, just thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.